Good
Good
evening,
evening.
folks. My name is Tom Russell. I'm your host for Life Without Limits, and this is going to be a very special show for me. And at the same time, we're going to talk about some things. I've talked about so many different issues with people that are uh, man. It's like things that happen in people's lives that they end up. You wonder how they got out of it. And fortunately, I've been able to find people over this past 3 years who their journey has been a tremendous inspiration for other people. And tonight's guest is going to be one of the better ones we've ever had. But before I bring on my guest tonight, I want to talk about something that just recently happened. And one of the blessings I've had doing this show for the past 3 years, it's those incredible relationships I've gained along the way with all of my guests along this journey. My hope is after the show is over and we say our goodbyes, it's not for that, it's not the last conversation that I have with them. And sometimes it's difficult to stay in touch, but for many of them, I've been able to stay in touch. And more specifically, my now lifelong friend Bruce Brumman and Betty Hefner and Larry Toady and Jeff Allwine, man, there are just so many more. I've done the show 3 years, and I had about 150 guests so far. So you can imagine what it's like trying to stay in touch with a lot of people. But I try. But there's this one special friend I want to bring up right now. And a year ago, I invited Heather Ross to come on my show to discuss her journey dealing with her daughter's drug addiction. And if you want to go back and listen to the show that we did together, you can go to my website, lifewithoutlimitsshow.com, tap on the iHeartRadio icon, and scroll down to the December 20th, 2020 episode and just listen to her story. At the time, her daughter Helena was winning the battle over her drug addiction, and we celebrated that fact that the two of them could move forward. And we were so encouraged that we could show my audience how the love and support a mother had could help her daughter overcome some of the most devious demons. And I've communicated with Heather for the past year, and I've even sent a couple letters of encouragement to Helena, telling her that I'm so proud of her for moving forward. But this past week, I found out that Helena lost that battle over drug addiction. And needless to say, I was devastated to hear the news. And my first thought was, what if I had sent just one more letter of encouragement to her, just to give her hope that that it may have shown that there are others in her life who were in her corner. But much like it is for most everyone in the world, life always gets in the way, and I didn't make it a priority. And we always just feel like what could I have done? But I've also come to realize it's that we all lead our lives, obviously, our own lives, but we can't control what other people do, even though we try as hard as we can. And Heather, if you're listening to this show, I don't want you to take responsibility for what happened. You loved Helena unconditionally. You always knew her the struggles and the many victories of after her rehab, but I think you realized your love alone couldn't save her. And Helena was God's gift for you, and she always, always will be your angel. Now she's surrounded by angels in heaven, welcoming to her fold, to their fold. And always remember the times you shared our precious Heather. And remember that you did what you could to help save her, but in the end, it sadly ended on her own terms. And I'm so sorry for your pain right now that you're going through right now. And I wish I could just give you a hug to let you know that I care, Heather. Now, Helena's story is not unique. I mean, you're going to hear scores of people all the time about they've lost their battle over addiction. But tonight, I'm bringing on a guest who has thrived post-addiction, and he has enjoyed a resurgence of hope by helping others realize that they can overcome anything as long as you don't quit on yourself. And his name is Richard Gallardo Ozuna. He's an advocate in the sober community as well as a motivational speaker, bringing out the best in everyone he meets. He's been clean and sober for 18 and a half years. That's a long time. But he's going to share the hell he went through while sharing his way of becoming sober with his life-changing plan for millions and millions across the globe. And in the process, we're going to hear about how he had a resurgence later, how he had a resurgence later on his life that even he never expected to happen. So, Richard, I am so privileged and honored to have you on my show.
Thomas, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. I've been a lot of times with my guests, I do a lot of research and everything, and I make up a lot of questions ahead of time. And one of the things that struck me was how you went through in the beginning of your childhood. You know, when you were 10, you had severe asthma. What kind of quality of life did you have back then?
Quality of life. It was. I was allergic to everything. Fresh cut grass, pollen. Springtime came around, forget it. Any type of foods, avocado, certain different spices. I had to be very careful around any cats that were in the neighborhood or on in around our yard. I would just break out and just it was a hell. My sinuses, my eyes, my breathing, mostly my breathing. When the smog came around, there was this, in the town that I lived in, it really knocked me down where I was gasping for air constantly, laying on the couch. I couldn't go out and play and gasping for air just to try to stay alive, it seemed like. And I remember that time, and it was very bad. Everything I was allergic to, I mean, you name it, it hit me. Um, it wasn't long after that. You're looking at, I was born in 63, and roughly around the late 60s, early 70s, I was going in for shots, for penicillin, for allergy shots twice a week, getting pulled out of school until they came up with this great idea that they were going to prescribe some pills for me when I had these breathing episodes. It wasn't an inhaler. Excuse me. It was these little white pills that I remember they had like crosses on them. And I remember my mom, when she first gave one to me, my breathing was incredible, but also was the high. From what I understand, it was a great percentage of amphetamine in it, which is a byproduct. It's methamphetamine, and so it had the same feeling as I had at that time, looking for this, the euphoria, the high, the lows, and that went on for years, as far as I can remember, the ups and downs emotion of this stuff, and looking for the pills until my mom, she had to hide the pills from me. So being that I do have this addictive personality, this is what I'm told. I don't know if that's true, but I truly believe that was a strong starting point that started me to be curious of altering my mind or having that feeling. It also goes back with all the childhood stuff that I went through as well. So you kind of find this escape route, and that was that escape. So yeah, it was not a
So,
way of life.
so this is at age 10 when your doctor prescribed methamphetamine.
It
Um,
was yeah, it was either an epinephrine or there was a amphetamine. It wasn't methamphetamine. It was the
yeah,
the product of it.
gotcha. Okay, all right.
It was based with it amphetamine. So it had the same feel. If I knew what to do back then, how to crush it and snort it, I probably would have.
Yeah.
But at this point, it was taken as a pill form, and it just dissolved. And it was a quick reaction, a quick clean sinus. My chest airwaves were just open. I could just, wow, this feeling of just unbelievable. So yeah, and that was basically the same feeling I got when I got into cocaine and got into meth and smoking rock cocaine and everything you can imagine to get that high. Couldn't get high enough.
Now, do you, you started early, obviously, but do you, looking back on it, do you ever harbor any ill will towards the doctor or even your parents for allowing that to happen?
You know, no, I don't. I'm curious to find out why, and I will do so before I leave this earth, because I do feel there wa- I was wronged in a way, but I don't take it to heart and I don't let it stop me from doing what I'm doing. And that is just one piece of the puzzle that basically completes my life as far as why I'm here.
Right.
Every event that I went through, um, bad, good, so, led me to this point and gave me the tools and understanding and the schooling, if you will, to share with people out there who think that they are hopeless, helpless, worthless. And I'm here to share with them that no, you are not all those things. You are worth something. And yeah, so I feel no animosity towards anyone or anything on that level.
Well, that's a good way to look at your life. That's a great perspective. Now, going back to you growing up, when did you start getting involved with the heavier drugs?
It was probably in junior high. I mean, we could call it. It wasn't heavier drugs, but
Mm.
as my parents would say, and everybody would say, it was the gateway drug, smoking marijuana. You know,
Yeah.
my friend of mine had an older brother. They had pot plants. They were growing every species you can imagine. So we would walk out back, pluck it from the tree, walk to school, or find something that's dried out and go home for nutrition. It was smoking marijuana, which didn't really do anything for me. I really didn't care for it. I did it for a time being, but then that led into getting into cocaine, and that was right out of probably in high school, experimenting with that until it got really crazy in the 80s, real bad.
Now, you told me that your father was in prison and your mother ended up marrying someone else, and you had a stepfather who was a perfectionist. How did that shape your life?
Well, let me go back with that. My biological father and is currently still in prison, and I remember for the longest time, let's say all my life, I was pretty much always told not to talk about it because this is your family, this is this. Well, no, no one's gonna shut me up anymore because this is the truth and this is the reality. You do something, you go there. I feel no ill will towards my father. He did have an attempt to try to see me and do this and do that, but I don't have any hate for him. I wish to see him one day and talk to him. But my mom ended up marrying another man, and it's he was basically he ruled the house with an iron fist, but he was also an alcoholic, and it was very uncomfortable in a household when you were told all these things what to do, but they were practicing other things.
Hmm.
They were, you can't wear these Budweiser shirts to school. You can't wear this to school. Everyone else was wearing these iron-on Budweiser, Heineken shirts, or advertising anything like that. But yet in the home, it was alcoholism at its finest. And as of recently, I found out too, as well as even a couple of years ago, when I finally I had to disconnect from them because the same behavior was still going on. I couldn't even believe what I was really looking at. So yeah, he was a perfectionist. He wanted me to play an instrument. He wanted me to do everything to be the best. So I strived to be the best because I didn't want to let anyone down. When it came to music, when it came to any type of sports, I had to be the best, and that's what led me to be um, into music as well. I'm a drummer, play guitar, play bass. But for the trumpet playing as a very young kid, we're talking junior high. Um, I really couldn't go out and do anything unless I practiced my scales, and I had to perfect everything. And that led to me being isolated. Isolation for me was a comfort zone.
Hmm.
And whenever I had to practice something, I was in the garage drumming, playing trumpet, whatever I had to do. Whenever new albums came out, Christmas came around, well, they gave me the album ahead of time so that I can perform for people when they came over. So I was performing at a very young age, and that really screwed me up a lot because I wasn't prepared for that. I wasn't prepared for that type of, show. Um, he was really hard. He was a really hard man and a very difficult man. Our relationship was strained throughout the years because, and again, I was a stepchild, my brother and I. And you feel that difference when you have um, a man come into the equation. You see, I'm Mexican American, and he is white American, Irish American, last name McDonald. And so carrying the last name for that while and being teased to no end, how can a McDonald be in a
Yeah.
brown outfit?
Yeah.
How can this be? So the ridicule that I would get, and it would just drive me, crazy. Like, okay, so it just came to points where drugs and any type of escape the some of the racism and some of the remarks and some of the things that I was going through, um, really carved out my life as far as where I was going in my addiction. Um, it was really it was really traumatic. I mean, there was some great times in it. I mean, he showed me that practice makes perfect, and that I still hold till today. And I use that phrase, believe it or not. But there was a downside, so it wasn't always, a rosy side on that. It wasn't always a green pasture on that end. It was a price to pay, and I learned that. I learned that the hard way.
So, throughout your life, obviously you started at 10 years old, and then so for decades you were involved with the drugs. A lot of people who have extended experience doing drugs, they still hold jobs, and say careers and all this. How did you manage to do both and try to mask that?
Yeah, that's a good one. I was going over the questions after you had sent them to me, and I was thinking about, should I
Yeah,
X this one out? No,
yeah,
I want to speak on this.
yeah, yeah.
Um, when I was doing cocaine, doing rock cocaine, you see, I was a marble and stone setter, tile setter, brick setter. I was in the trade. I was a tradesman, craftsman, if you will. That's where I see myself because I love working that way. So the people that I worked for knew that I had a talent. They knew that they can capitalize on it, and they did. So they would buy me trucks. They would hire me, knowing that I had the addiction, and feed me money, feed me whatever it was, just to get me there when I would get there. It wouldn't be a day after day event, but when I got there, it was a different story. Um, when I got into methamphetamine, that was a different deal because I was able to actually, you know, cultivate and collect things because I didn't want to get rid of things. And I made my appointments, I made my places, regardless if I was up for days, didn't make a difference. So doing that type of work led me into telemarketing, which to me, it was a quick fix to get a quick check, to get a quick high. And it was also a blessing down the road because I was able to become a very important part in the solar and home improvement industry with opening up marketing rooms and motivating teams, motivating marketers, because a lot of the people that are in there are in recovery, are either in halfway homes and they have to have a job, so they do telemarketing. So it gave me a great advantage to speak to them when I was recovering, when I was clean. So to me, every point in my life had its purpose, and that purpose led me to that area in life for that season because it honed my skills to show I'm going to be helping these people one day. I'm going to
But
be helping people.
you really didn't know at that time, though, right? I mean,
I
you were just
didn't know that.
no.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Who does? Who
Who
really
knows?
does?
Who knows? And who knew?
Now, okay, since we're talking about you getting clean. I'm trying to go in the Wayback Machine here because it's 18 and a half years. So you're probably about 39 or 40, right? Something around there, around that age.
Somewhere around there. Yeah, roughly around there when I finally cleaned up. My sober date is April 10th, 2003. I'm coming up on 18 years and 8 months uh, in 4 more days. So every 10th of the month, I celebrate a new month of sobriety added to my years, and I'm it's so hard to understand because I was that type of person that thought I was going to die an addict, and I practiced so hard because I would um, I would make sure that I had enough coke when I got home, if I ever made it home, so that I could have it overnight and wake up with it. It was like this glamorous thing. And then when it finally took its hold on me, when I got into crack cocaine and finding myself out there like, wow, what am I doing here in an empty warehouse full of crap and things I shouldn't even be around, but yet I'm smoking a pipe here, hiding. It just brought me to it shook me to the core, but I couldn't get out. I was shackled in this terrorist way within my mind of saying, it's okay. You're no good. You're just going to do it again. And these are the things that I heard because I would hear people say that. And as I was telling you about the life at home, as long as you were doing what you were supposed to be doing, you were accepted. But if you stepped outside of the norm and you went against the grain, then it was a conditional love. And they showed you that there was no love, there was no acceptance for what you were doing, there was no understanding. So you were basically put on this, you're shit, you're nothing, you'll never be nothing, you're always going to end up like your father. That's not a good thing to tell a child growing up.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was very, very, very disturbing. And I'm just so happy to be alive, to be here, to share, be here speaking with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just a beautiful thing, man. And this is why I'm here.
Now, what was the breaking point then? So at that point, you said, this is it.
Yeah. It was roughly around this time, 18 years, 8 months ago. It was like 6 months leading up to it. Is my grandfather was really ill, and I was staying at their place. Still, I was still in my active addiction, but still taking care of my grandfather and staying with my grandmother. And he was dying slowly but surely from a stroke, and then he had Alzheimer's, and he just had dementia. And you're looking at a man that I looked up to when I was very young, because he was bigger than life to me, chest bigger than you can imagine, his arms. And when he came up from work, he was the one that I would wait for to come home to grab his lunchbox, jump in his boots, because I wanted to be just like him.
Mm.
And to see him into this frail of a man that he didn't have the sense anymore. And it was something that was really that really got me, was when he came into the garage, and must have been up about a week, because I had all my instruments in there and I spent most of my time in the garage. When he opened the door and just looked at me, he didn't have to say a word. It was his eyes that spoke volumes to me, that I knew he knew. And that's all that had to be said. So when he passed away, I basically I was on the road to death. I wanted to take my own life, and I share this with everyone, that when I first came out on Instagram with my opening story, is I just finally had it. I was up for quite some time, living in a trailer full of crap, and I was installing a tile floor, a custom floor, doing custom mosaics and doing custom tassels at a stone tile front in front of a sink, that it resembled an inlaid rug. And it was so detailed, but yet I was only being fed methamphetamine. I was being fed meth and beer to do this. And I just thought to myself, wow, this is what it's come down to. So when he passed away, I just figured I didn't want to live anymore. I stayed away from the family, and my wife and kids moved up north, and had a 38, walked down to the corner, sun was coming up, and I wanted to take my life. I was there, and this wind, this chill, this spirit came over me, and I know it was my grandfather. I mean, I know it was the Lord above as well, but I feel it was my grandfather giving me life again. How he gave my mom life and he gave me life again at that moment. And it was at that time when I went inside and I basically dumped all my crap out, poured my beer out. And I think I went to the phone, and my wife, we are We don't live together. We're separated, but we have a great relationship. And she is she remembers part of the story that I remember calling her, or she came down, picked me up. That was the moment that I never looked back. That was the moment I never looked back.
Now that is interesting because you've been around it enough. I mean, you were taking drugs for decades.
Yeah.
And they do cold turkey. Anybody who's been involved with addiction knows that chemically it's so hard to just say, okay, this is it. I mean, were you absolutely able to stop with no triggers if something happened in your life that, because this trauma happened to me, well, I got to go back to doing drugs?
No. And that wasn't my story prior to my 1,000 times trying to quit.
Yeah.
But this was a life-changing moment. It was a moment that went through me, that completely cleansed me and left me numb, empty, not high anymore. And so when I moved up north and I moved with the family, I made it a goal to not be like my father. And I wanted to have my kids. I wanted to be there for my kids. And I wanted to become a better person. I wanted to be clean. And I didn't want to use anymore. And I was getting some flack from people throughout the time. Well, how can you do this without going to programs or going to NACA, AA? And I'm not saying anything about it. I encourage the followers that are in AA, CA, and NA, in any of the programs. I encourage them. I just say, I want to share with people that are going through the same struggle, that don't go to these meetings or don't have access to these meetings or don't want to go to these meetings, but they're doing it on their own. I want to let them know that, yes, you can do it on your own. But if it does take meetings and it does take a support group or a sponsor, then by all means, do it. But I want to be honest with the people out there that I didn't do it that way. I did it by self-motivation, meditating, and coming up with a plan that worked for me. And it was getting back to basics, really, getting back to the things that I loved. When I first opened up Instagram back in, I think it was April of this year, here I am on my skateboard again, because I was a skateboarder in the early 70s, semi-pro, freestyle, pools, tournaments, you name it. So I got back into skateboarding, just on the road, just skateboarding, doing this. And I had my music back because I've always been drumming. But I encourage people to get back to the areas where they felt the best. Use that as your stepping stone and your ground to say, this is what life should be. This is how I want to live my life. I want to do the things that I enjoyed. I don't want to wake up one day and say, wow, I could have done that. Well, you'll never know unless you try.
Yeah.
So get back to it. Do whatever it is, not what people are telling you to do. Because I spent a long time being told what to do, what not to do. I want to have that freedom of being free to make my own decision, and to be free and to have the love of the things that I loved younger, growing up and hanging on to those things, but also becoming a better person, so you can, be that inspiration, be that light for the next person, because it doesn't end with me. And I'm doing everything that I'm doing when it comes to filming, modeling, music, production, because I'm trying to share with the younger crowd and share with the people that are up and coming that felt they lost that will. And I'm letting them know, no, you can do this. And I'm trying to make an opportunity for them so that they can come into the equation and say, now you can do this. Now it's your turn. And I believe wholeheartedly in helping other people achieve their dreams, because not only does it help you, it's a therapeutic feel for me, because before you know it, I'll be 60 years old in a couple years, and it comes
Hey,
really quick.
hey, dude, Mike, Richard. I mean, it's going to be less than a month for me to hit 60. So,
Right? So I'm saying
yeah,
I'm gonna have the next 10, maybe the next 15 years to be the most incredible years of my life that I don't want to stop, and I don't want to stop inspiring. I don't want to stop helping. I want to share something here with you, Thomas. I throughout the course of what I'm doing, you have to understand I don't have a perfect life. I'm struggling right now with a loved one who's lost his way. And I'll share about that more in another program down the road or on my Instagram in months to come. So it's a battle for me every day, every night, wondering if my loved one is okay. And I just want to share with the people out there that it hits you, it hits, and it'll hit anybody. It doesn't make a difference who you are or what you've accomplished or how long you've been sober. And I gotta tell you, I am so sorry for Mrs. Ross's loss, and it hit a chord with me, and it just really you shocked me when you opened up with that, to be honest with you, and it got me.
it does. It's painful because I know
And
that. Yeah, it
yeah,
was hard for her. It still is hard for her.
yeah, and I can imagine. I would love to reach out to her, and I think I am going to reach out to her. And that was just devastating to hear that news. And I'm just letting you know that people are going to deal with what they're going to deal with, and it doesn't make a difference who you are. There's it comes, and it
Yeah.
comes hard.
So let me, because we were talking about this, because you briefly talked about the filming and music and production and all that. But it's like when you finally decide that no more drugs and everything, it's like you have to reinvent yourself. I mean, it took you, let's see, 12. I'm going back to way back machine here. So after you tried to reinvent yourself, what'd you end up doing?
Well, what I ended up doing was I got back into the trade that I loved, and that was construction. I was doing pools, I was doing remodels, doing brickwork, landscaping, and this is where I what I love to do. So I was self-employed, doing my own business, and loving every moment of it. Just I had to get back into the business life of it because of what I've lost so much, that was my bread and butter, was doing custom showers, doing custom stone entryways, marble, travertine, ceramic, porcelain. But this is what I got into, and this is what I am still doing periodically throughout my life now. Because I don't want to let it go, because I love working with my hands, and I love creating.
But now, I mean, we're talking, 12 years ago, your life entirely changed. What happened then?
Yeah, it was roughly around 2012. I was at a restaurant called Charlie Brown's in Little Rock, California. And of course, you mentioned about my jewelry, and this is nothing. I
Yeah.
mean, it was like up to here, and my chains, my goatee, and this casting agent fell upon me and was looking at me and studying me, and just she finally came up to me and says, "Look, I'm sorry that I got to ask you, have you been in film before?" And I looked around, and I'm looking back at my wife and kids, and I'm wondering I wonder what she's gonna think. And yeah, she told me what she thought, but she asked me about would I be in a film, would I be interested in being in being an actor and an extra in this film called Being American, and they were ready to start shooting within months, and so she gave me her card, and that was the start of a life-changing event for me
Yeah.
that has brought me to this point right now, where I'm still acting, still doing my thing, and it's brought me to some incredible places, and I couldn't be happier.
And now, how does acting, being an actor, how's it reflect on the person you are now?
Oh, that does I think that everyone that knows me personally and is with me. I'm the same guy. I'm the same guy that I've always been. I've always been humble. I've been very, very, very grateful and thankful to everything that I've accomplished and achieved. And it doesn't change my life on that level to say I'm anybody other than I'm very fortunate to be called upon to be in a film and to be in 7 films. And I think this is my second film that I have a leading role in. You know, this is just because I love the art of film and acting. And I didn't go to film school. I didn't go to acting school. It's just something that came natural. And when I did a film back in, I think it was in 2015. It was A Fighting Chance. And I played 2 characters in that film. I originally came on to be a gangster, goatee, beanie, my rosary, my khakis. I was a cholo in that one, gangster. But when they needed someone to play a part as a news reporter, I said, hold that thought. I'll be right back. I shaved everything off, greased my hair back, put my round glasses on, turtleneck, and a jacket. I walked on set. Nobody knew who I was.
Huh.
So I knew that I had something and I just didn't hone in on it and I didn't grab it until that moment. And so each film that I've done in the past few years have been really dynamic and in more than 3 characters in a film emotionally. So yeah, it's been really challenging, but it's been really amazing too. So it hasn't changed me as a person. It may take up some time because I have to read up on my script and I'm bringing my character out. So I'm doing my own homework, but it's been really a blessing to even have the IMDb that I do have as of now. I just feel blessed.
That's really cool. Now, acting isn't the only thing you do. You also do the motivational speaking. What kind of message do you like to impart upon people?
Well, here's my page, my Instagram page, and my TikTok and Facebook, as well as now we just opened up on YouTube, and I'll share with everybody at the very end how they can reach out to me. I can only say this. My motivation is clear. My message is clear. It's not about what I do in film. It's not about what I do in modeling, music. It's not about what I do as a motivational speaker. Let's just put that there. It's about showing people that you can, you will, and if you come out with that I can, I will, I am attitude, those 3 words alone, from the very moment you wake up in the morning, has always been my message, is to share with people that are struggling out there, smoking crack cocaine, doing their meth, shooting up and doing whatever they're doing, drinking, and they think that they cannot because they've been told they're going to amount to be absolutely a nothing. Well, see, I was told I was going to be a nothing. My message is to people around the globe, and people are in contact with me around the globe, is because of how I motivate them with those words. I want to show people that these are the possibilities. When you clean up your life, you become clean and sober. You become a clean-minded, clear-minded individual that you can do anything you set your mind to. The mind is a powerful thing. You can achieve your dreams. And this is why I show what I show on my page, to show people these are the possibilities. And these are the possibilities that came my way. This can come for you. It may not be the things that I'm doing, but what's your dream? What are your aspirations in life? What do you want to become? And with that said and done, when they write it down and they have that short-term goal opposed to their long-term goal, a lot of people are out there achieving it. And I get a lot of messages from people that are practicing that right now. And it's just so amazing to get the messages that I do from people that really are connecting with my message. And that's my message right there, Thomas. That's what I bring.
And I think that what really intrigues me about you, it really motivates me is because I followed the same path you did, starting later in life, because I didn't write my first book till I was 52.
Wow.
And so from that point on, from that day on, when I made that decision, say nuts to this, I'm tired of wasting my life doing things that only bring me a paycheck. I said, you gotta change. You gotta believe in yourself, and all the self-talk that you always hear from people that I didn't believe myself. And so ever since age 52, in these past, oh gosh, 8 years now, 7 years, something like that. Anyway, uh, everything opened up because it was the belief in myself. And with you talking tonight, Richard, the passion and the enthusiasm that you have in your voice, it just kind of it tells me what I'm doing is worthwhile, and the message that you're telling everyone else is why are you waiting? Why do you feel that age is going to stop you from doing something? Why are you letting all the other obstacles that are coming across your life stopping you? Because the only thing that's stopping you is you, right?
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's another key word that I use. You know, it's very important that you understand that you have to believe in yourself, because without you believing in you, who else is going to believe in you to push you into the direction to make you the best you possible? Now, people you're going to run into in life that are going to assist you, and they're going to be people that you look up to. They're going to be people that inspire you. So when I came up here in March to film up here, this is what led me to my great agent, my publicist Esther, who's in Armenia. She runs my social media, she runs my events, she books my modeling shoots, and without her and Gabby, with these two women, I have the most powerful women on my team. That it was their belief in me, because I didn't believe I had what it took to be a model until I was up here, and they said, "Listen, I really love your look. I want to get pictures of you. I want to send it to a friend of mine. I believe we can. How do I get in touch with you?" Well, here's my number, but I really don't have anything going. I'm not on social media. That changed, and it's because you left. I left myself open in that area to say, you know what? Someone else sees this. I don't see this. I never did see this. And I still, to this day, sometimes I wake up, I look in the mirror, and go, oh my gosh, I don't want to even look. But they see something different. And so does people around the world that are really loving what I do. And I just want to be that. I want to be that source of light and that source of help to people, that, you have to open yourself up, because you never know when that one or two or group of people are going to come into your life, that you hang around and you mingle with people that are like-minded, that are bright. They're going to shine their light on you. You can only glow. And by sharing that light with other people, it's just going to be the trickle down effect. You get everybody involved into becoming a better, stronger, an incredible human being. That's all I want to do, you know? That's all I want to do, is inspire.
And the thing is, when people when they go through different phases in their lives, and they feel like the things that they did, the transgressions that they had, and everything that it just wore them down. They wasted years and years and years. Do you ever fall back on that? Says, why did I waste my life back then? I could have done a lot more back then.
Well, I probably could have done a lot more back then, and I have no regrets. When I was drumming back in the day, I was traveling around and I was playing with great musicians, and ended up opening up for Carmine Appice's trip. It was the Carmine Appice's band, so we opened up at the country club. I was just too heavy into cocaine, and I know if I would have went from '86 on touring, drumming, playing, I wouldn't be here today. I would have
Mm-hmm.
overdosed on the road, no problem. No, I had no problem with that, because as much as I practiced everything else to become the best, I was also practiced to become the best drug user. Oh, I can stay up longer than you, or I can drink more than you, or I can do more than you. And it was just always a sick mentality that led me that way. But Thomas, I have no regrets. Everything that I have done in every crap hole that I was in every event that I went through, from being left for dead, every event in my life has a purpose and has a reason why I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
It's for me to share. And I just want to go back a little bit a moment here. There's probably 1,000 other topics we could have talked about that we may get to on another show, but I will share that on Instagram. There is so much more that led me to where I'm at right now, and some of the horror stories that go beyond belief. But I want to share that, hey, I wouldn't change my life for the world. I wouldn't change one moment. From everything I've gained, from everything I've lost, to some of the people I pissed off, to some of the people I made cry, but to some of the people that cheered me on then, that are still cheering for me now. I am here for one reason and one reason only, and that is to be that hope and that light and that person to share with people that you can overcome this addiction. You can be drug free.
Definitely proof of that. You're definitely proof of that.
Thank you.
I am so grateful and privileged and honored to have you on my show, Richard. And you inspire me. You inspire me, because there are times in my life that you just kind of wonder if what you're doing is really impacting people. And this is a hard business. Doing this show is hard because I don't get feedback from people, so it's really hard to tell whether I'm impacting people. But I have to go in faith that the people that I have on my show, like you're inspiring other people. It's not me. The show isn't about me. It's about you, Richard, because your story people need to hear, and that's why I wanted to have you on the show.
Well, thank you so very much, Thomas. It's been a pleasure, and I'm still in awe. And I was able to get through the nervousness,
Yeah.
so we're good.
Yeah, we're good.
So yeah, thank you so much, Thomas. I really appreciate it, and I would love to come on your show again.
I appreciate that. All right, as I always end on my shows, I've got a couple things that I've looked up today, and the word of the day is inspiration. So I want to go over a couple things I saw on Pinterest, and here's the first one. You're absolutely capable of creating a life you can't stop thinking about. Stop living in your head. It's time to make your dreams happen. Don't forget, you can change your life at any time. Any day, you can delete your socials, go vegan, start exercising, cut off toxic relationship, or move across the country. All it takes is a decision. If you focus on the hurt, you will continue to suffer. If you focus on the lesson, you will continue to grow. Where you are a year from now is a reflection of the choices you choose to make right now. God is not asking you to figure it out. God is asking you to trust that He already has. And here's the last one. 12 things to always remember. The past can't be changed. Opinions don't define your reality. Everyone's journey is different. Judgments are not about you. Overthinking will lead to sadness. Happiness is found within. Your thoughts affect your mood. Smiles are contagious. Where did you hear that one before? Kindness is free. It's okay to let go and move on. What goes around comes around. And the last one is this: things always get better with time.
That is beautiful.
It is.
That is beautiful.
I always look at these things all the time. So, Richard, I am so proud of you for who you are and what the things that are going to happen in your life. It's all in front of you, man. And forget 60, go to 70, man. You're going to get an Oscar or something. So it's pretty cool.
Thank you so much, Thomas. I appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And as I end all my shows, I want everyone to smile infectiously or contagiously, laugh genuinely, love unconditionally, and live courageously. I believe in all of you, and have a great week, folks.